Welcome to the Veterans Voice, where we highlight programs and services that benefit veterans and their families in the greater Houston area. I'm your host, Tim Stroud. The Veterans Summer Slam is an extraordinary event, and it happens each year in Galveston. And it sounds like a WWE or WWF event, but it's hosted by the Hook Spit Junior Anglers. It's a 501c3, and they began with a modest initiative with a single boat and this many veterans, using my Army math, and that's flourished into an inspiring endeavor. And it's led by one of my friends, and he's going to tell us a little bit more because he is the founder and the captain. And it's Cass Coroiescu. Welcome to the program, sir. How you doing?
Pretty good, Tim. Pretty good. Thank you for having us here and hosting us and talking to us about the Veteran Summer Slam. If you have any questions or would like to know anything about it, just ask me.
Well, let's dive in there because when I hear SummerSlam, my mind goes back to when I was a kid of Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan, but it has nothing to do with wrestling. Instead, you're going to be wrestling with some fish. So let's talk about how it began and then who it benefits and how they can get involved.
Yeah, so a slam in fishing terminology is when you have three fish total. It's like a snapper, kingfish, and mahi. So that would be considered a three-fish slam. That's what we call it, the Veteran Summer Slam. So we essentially take out, I think last year we had like 200 some veterans that came out, that we take them out as a friendly, quote unquote, tournament, three fish conglomerates. You can win cool prizes, door prizes, coolers, plaques, whatnot. So the Veteran Summer Slam started, this will be year 5, last 2000, and my master right in 19, which we offered our boat up for 6 veterans, no matter what branch of military service, so on, as long as they were honorably discharged and served our country, as a appreciation for the freedoms we have in our country, which in turn is because our veterans are out there protecting us. Our family is an immigrant from Romania, which we did not have the possibilities we have here in America today. So we wanted to share that back. And with the Veteran Summer Slam, what the whole goal is to get veterans together. A lot of them, have issues or anxiety around big places, and get them to meet new veterans that may have the same issues, talk about it. And what's a better place to talk about it than a 3-hour boat ride?
I love it, Cass, because I know that you love to hunt and fish. And so you say, what better way to do it? But what if somebody's never been fishing before?
That's fine. They're told, our captains are very knowledgeable, and we'll teach them. We've had a lot of first timers, first people never caught fish before, join us. And so as long as they're open-minded, we'll teach them.
Now, when you say open-minded, you're really talking about that level of trust, and that's one of the things that you guys teach out there: trust, breathing, just enjoying the moment where you're at, and connecting with team members. So many different things, because you guys get in a boat, next thing you know, you don't see land anymore.
Oh, you're gone for a good total 8 to 10 hours, correct? Open water. So that's something where you have to trust us and trust our captains. And so over the years we've done this, everybody's came out big smiles. Now we do get some of them that might get seasick, and funny thing about that is most of the time it's Navy people that get seasick on the boats. And we try to make them as comfortable as possible and coach them through that, as far as hydration and different things they can do to clear their minds of that. Because most of the time it's anxiety that makes them sick.
Right. And I think that you can get, of course, you can take one of the Dramamine or one of the motion sickness pills, or you can get a wristband or something. Do those work, or is it more breathing and connecting with others?
They do work, as long as, like on the Dramamine, you medicate several days in advance.
Okay.
So you get it good in your system several days in advance. And most of the time we see that works for our veterans.
All right. You mentioned some qualifiers. So served our country, honorable discharge. And so do they have to live in Houston or Galveston, or something?
Oh no, we get people flying from all over the states on this event. So as long as you're honorably discharged, we have a sign up on our veteransummerslam.com website. You upload your proof of service on there and put in a request to be put on the list. Now, keep in mind, we get over 2,000 entries every year.
Wow.
Typically, we only get about 40 or so boats, so that equates to about 200 people. So what we do is we go down the list about 3 weeks before the event, and we start making phone calls and assign boats to people. So we start assigning captains to our veterans. We do get some veterans get upset they don't make the cut, but again, when we have to weed through 2,000 people, sometimes not everybody can go is what I'm getting at, but we try
Right.
to
That's like me playing basketball. I
sure.
was like, I'm riding the pine, big boy. And
Yeah.
so you're first pick, but me, I'm like, yeah. So say a veteran signs up and they get by the grace of Cass, they
Mhm.
are selected to go out and go on the SummerSlam. What do they need to do to prepare, and what can they expect on the? Is it 2 days, 3 days?
So the slam actually is a 1 day Saturday deal, but our out of town veterans, we do have room and board for them at the Sea Star Base Galveston, bunk style sleeping. So they come down Friday evening, hang out by the pool, and enjoy themselves. So Saturday morning, we get up and go on the boats. Come back Saturday evening, we have a big, pretty much a party is all it is. A award ceremony with door prizes, and then we do have auction items and raffle items that we also raise funds for next year. Friday night's reserved for our captains at our captains meeting, but we do have a lot of veterans that come and join the captains up in the conference room there and hang out and listen to a little bit of music and get a little bit of food in us.
Okay, it sounds like you've sprinkled a lot of mental health into something that an activity that a lot of people may take for granted.
Mhm.
And so I love that aspect of it. But again, let me half step back, Cass, to the point where there are some people living in Texas. They've never fished outside of Galveston, so they've thrown their pole in the water and maybe caught something about this big. What can they expect to catch while they're on the SummerSlam?
Typically, we're catching red snapper. That's our primary target. They go from 15 to 25 pounds.
Woo!
Most of our captains limit out on snapper. And what the cool part about it is I have a crew of volunteers that fillet everybody's fish for us at the end of the day. So then they get to take this really yummy snapper home to eat or share with their family or whoever they want to share it with. So yeah, so most of the time it's going to be snapper. From 10, I said 15 to 20 pounds is our average, but there might be some 10 pounders, might be some 26 pounders, which win the tournament in the mix there.
Any favorite memories or stories from veterans or family members that have gone on this excursion with you?
Most of our feedback comes from veterans that have had anxiety issues. I've had several reach out to me where their families have pushed them. They came across this event somehow, and they did not want to come. But their wives, kids, families push them. Said, "Hey, you need to go. Get out of the house. Like, take a step." And I've had feedback from one individual in particular. I remember now. He went on to say how his PTSD and anxiety with crowds, and he was year two. And he sent me a text message, saying that how amazing it was to get on a boat. And he realized that, hey, I'm not the only one battling this stuff. Half the guys on my boat are battling it. Now they're friends, they keep in touch. And he's back every year now with this large crowd.
Man,
Um,
I'm loving that, Cass. And I know that other people, they can volunteer their time as a captain of their boat and they can contact you. And we've got the link right here at the bottom of our screen. And I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart of what you're doing to helping out veterans and their families get on that road to recovery and making sure that they're having an amazing time in their lives. And after the break, we're going to meet an HCC Eagle that is a proud veteran.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Welcome back to the Veterans Voice. HCC's Central Campus recently welcomed a new communications director, Donald Sparks. I love him because he's a former command sergeant major and he is Army strong. He's got a background in communications and public relations, and I am happy to welcome him to the show. How you doing, Sergeant Major?
Hey, I'm great. I'm great. How are you, Tim?
Unbelievable, and I have references, but one of them is a dog, so just kind of bear with me.
You
You know,
know
I
that
know.
question is The question remind me of the scene of we were soldiers once a young. Every time the trooper walked past, the sergeant major say, "Good morning, sergeant major." But I'm not going to repeat what Samuel Elliott says.
What am I, the weatherman? That was the one with Mel Gibson, right?
Yes,
Yeah, you know
absolutely.
what? He did such a great job on that one because there are so many men and women that after they transition out of the military, they want to go into the arts, and that's one of the things we do with Stay Tuned. But you're right; it's so amazing when they hire consultants, whether it's for safety or acting or
Right.
directing, putting them in a position to where they can win. And so I'm sure you have tons of stories from 30 years in public affairs in
Yes.
the United States Army. So, if you would give us a couple of highlights about your career and how that folds in, kind of dovetails into
Oh,
HCC.
wow. First of all, I almost didn't even have a career. I served my first 4 years in Germany, and I was in the medical field. And after the Gulf War, I was, hell bent on just coming back home to Houston. I was gonna just either come here to HCC then, or Texas Southern or Prairie View, one of the, HBCUs. But I had a mentor that recognized that I was writing, and I actually had a guest column that appeared in Stars and Stripes. And 30 days out, of nearly 30 days out, he said, "Sparks, what are you going to do when you get out the Army?" And I said, "I don't have a plan." He said, "You are a hell of a writer. So you ever thought about becoming a journalist?" I'm like, "I didn't know they had that in the Army. The Army has 200 some jobs. Who knew that journalism was
Right?
one?" So I reenlisted with 30 days left in the Army to become an Army journalist. 1992, I was sent to Fort Benjamin Harrison, Indiana, and I started the basic journalism course, which is a 10-week course, but 2 years of college journalism crammed in that 10 weeks. And you learn everything about writing, writing news, writing sports, writing features. Back then, there was no such thing as digital cameras. You learn how to take photos. You had to go in a dark room, develop your film. So it was very, very, what I like to say, you go back to the core tenets of journalism and the true tenets of photography. And I just fell in love with it.
And that reminds me of something amazing. We came from a different time and era where things were scarce, and so if you took a picture with a standard camera, it was 24 or 36 exposure. So you had to capture everything within.
That's
Now you can hit thousands of
That's
times,
all
right?
you got. And you can't go out and say, doing a change of command when they're passing the guide on, say, "Can you redo that again?" No. So you have to know the science of photography. And then you work on the art of photography, the lighting, the shutter speed. So, I'm just so very fortunate. I might be considered a dinosaur now, but back then you trusted your eyes and you trusted your talent, you trusted your learning, you trusted everything, and you knew all the composition that created photo in your writing. I had a staff sergeant Resnicek. I wrote on my one of my very first articles, I wrote a lot as one word. So in the military, you do corrective training.
Right?
I had to write a lot 500 times as my corrective training. So to this day, if I see a lot as one word, I cringe.
Absolutely. It's like there, and there. You better know the difference before you go there. Otherwise,
But
they're going to get you. Quick half step back there, Sergeant Major. Did you say you started out as a medic and over in Germany?
no, so I was a medical supply specialist.
Okay,
So
and where were you
1988
stationed
to
in Germany?
1992. Pirmasens, Germany.
Okay, I was in Baumholder, and so it's amazing how
Wow.
lives overlap and there's
Yes.
a connection because you spent some time at Fort Sam Houston.
That was
I'm
a
sure.
beautiful time. Beautiful time, 'cause there was still a East Germany and a West Germany. A lot of people don't know that. So, and I was there when the wall came down, which was a historic moment in our lifetimes. You think about it. And somewhere I still have a little piece of the wall from when I went to Berlin.
I just got goosebumps. I mean, I in my head, I was already hearing President Reagan tell Gorbachev to tear down that
Tear
wall.
down this wall. Yes, yes,
And it's amazing how something stays with you because facts tell and stories sell. You have to get to the story so
yes.
somebody will understand and they'll remember what you're talking
And,
about.
and you don't understand the gravity at age 20 years old, 21 years old. You don't understand the gravity to years later. And then when you're now, countries that were your adversaries are now your friends. When I was in Europe the second time, here I'm now working with partners from Romania. I'm working partners from Bulgaria, partners from Hungary in these multinational coalitions that these were countries, Poland, these were countries that was once considered our adversaries. And now they're our allies.
Right. In fact, our last guest, his grandparents and his parents immigrated from Romania to the United States with literally nothing, and now they built
Yes.
up everything. They have a multi-million dollar business.
Yes.
They're giving back to veterans because of the military support they received while in country. Do you have any other stories that you can share while you were deployed or stationed in Europe?
Oh, wow. So deployed. Well, Europe was the first of my 4 years, and I came back later. So I turned 20, 21, 22, and 23 in Europe. Then I came back. I turned 41, 42, and 43. I left before my 44th birthday. So I saw the change.
Mm.
But I deployed once from Europe to Afghanistan, and I was in a Joint Special Operations Unit, multinational. And we had partners who were, again, from these countries that were once considered our adversaries. And we're training with these fellow warriors. And I'm going out on missions. I always tell people I always travel with a pen, pad, camera, and a weapon, but two cameras. And I'm out there covering and documenting what our U.S. soldiers, what our multinational coalition soldiers are doing, working with those Afghan partners to train the Afghans to, to basically defend their own borders. So it was a great time for me just to be out there and capture that and tell the story of what our great troops were doing out there.
And I love that. We've got about a minute and 30 seconds left, Sergeant Major, to talk about how veterans, if they're listening to this right now, or a family member, of how they can connect with HCC to tell their story more effectively, whether they're trying to get a new career, they're trying to launch their own business, or simply communicate with other veterans. Would you talk about a little bit about VMAS and some of the programs that are internal?
Been on the job a month, so I'm still learning. But what I do want to do is get out and start engaging with those veteran organizations and promote the educational opportunities that HEC has to offer. I'm a byproduct of many community colleges to help me get to my first master's degree, even my bachelor's degree. So I believe the community colleges like HCC has a role because if you struggled with English when you're younger, now you can take English comp. If there's a certification for you know something that you want to do, start your own career, HEC provides it. So I think in my role, getting out there and engaging with our veteran organizations, telling our story of what we can give back is only going to be beneficial for our veterans and Houston as an entirety.
Absolutely. I'm going to plug you into the Greater Houston Veterans Rotary Club and some others. We're here talking with retired Command Sergeant Major of the United States Army. And after the break, we're going to find how art is helping one U.S. Air Force veteran help others on their road to recovery.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Welcome back to the Veterans Voice. Art gives us an outlet to process complex thoughts and feelings and how to connect with others through creative designs. And that's why I've invited our next guest, who is a U.S. Air Force veteran, Rod Thornton, to join us today. Not only is he a great friend, he is a comic book artist. He knows how to draw just about anything. He's got a special skill that he taught himself. He plays the guitar, piano, pipe, piccolo, violin. I may have added those, but he also does a lot of woodworking. Welcome to the show, Rod.
All right, how you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing well, and I want to tell everybody who's not familiar with your works a little bit about your story, but instead of me telling them, if you would tell everybody a little bit about your service in the military and how you got into creative arts.
Okay. I joined the military back in 1988. I got in. I had a son and another son on the way and a daughter, and I was, the 80s were kind of like. So I joined the Air Force and then went to the reserves. After I got in, I was kind of one of the oldest ones there. I was 27 when I went in, and they used to call me old man. Let's see, think about it, the old man at 27. But then I came out of there, and having you guys mention about the wall coming down, I remember when I was coming out and they were talking about that. And I came out from the Air Force and joined the Houston Fire Department. And then I was a reservist at that time. After I joined the fire department, I realized that it's a very stressful job. And like I always say, that you can't pay a person enough to run and burn in buildings. But I've been an artist ever since I was 5 years old. I've always done music. I actually was in the choir for the Air Force, and we sung all over the place. Let's see. I won all kind of livestock show and rodeo contests when I was little. I sang at the Houston Opera downtown. A time when they did the Roasting Cavalier and all this kind of stuff. So I did a lot of music and a lot of art from early childhood. But I found that as I was going through the fire department, a lot of the trauma and the different things that we see on the ambulance, I had to have time to kind of unwind. And so I turned into music, and I also turned into art. And that's because of something I've been always doing all my life. It brings me a lot of peace. And I found that offering that to other firefighters and police officers and now military, it gives them an opportunity for me to teach something I've always loved to do, and to open up doors and help them explore things that they always wanted to do, but never thought they could. So I love being a teacher. I like showing people that they have hidden creativity and talents inside of them. And if I can bring it out, I'll do my best to do that.
And bring it out, you do. We're not talking, folks, about scribbling with crayons on paper or drawing on a napkin in a bar. Rod takes the time to sit down and patiently walk veterans through the basics of how to draw. And if you would, talk a little bit about the Vet Sketch program that we did with Stay Tuned recently at your studio.
Okay, well, what we did was we had a veteran that actually draws a lot with his kids, and then we had one that didn't have any experience at all. So I told him, my thing is, like, if you can draw a stick figure, I can show you how to turn that into a regular figure. So I always start with showing you how to draw basic shapes. Everybody can draw a square, a circle, a triangle, or something like this. And then I show you how to stack objects and to develop it into showing how the human body is put together with a lot of different shapes. And you can show movement and power and, all the different things you can do. Anybody can draw those shapes. If I can show you how to put it together, and once you see how everything comes together, you can do it yourself. And we proved that with that Officer Rubin. He had a chance to really see that he could do it. And even if they say, I don't think I can, and I say, well, I think you can.
You take veterans and you give them hope and inspiration, as well as that pencil and that creative inspiration to move forward. And you do show them the basics, but you also show them how they can share that with others, because each of the veterans are sharing that skill with their sons. And I think that's wonderful. Right. And they may not get to the level where you're at. I'm looking over your left shoulder, my right, and I see some stuff from Star Wars. We just celebrated May 4th. Tell us about how that was drawn, because that's a unique style that you have.
Well, what I do with that is it's called cross-hatching. And I do a lot of different cross-hatching styles. And what it does is it allows you to actually do different types of shading. You can create foreground, middle ground, and background by just using different types of cross-hatching. Also do character concept drawings. If you don't mind, I'll show you something like that.
That's amazing. And that's not a picture. You drew that.
Like that. I drew that. That's from One Piece. And then also another thing I do is when I take veterans, we always talk about carving. So I show them how to do creative things like walking sticks, and how we take an old stick out of the woods and turn it into something like that. So
you didn't carve that. You got that out of a set of a movie. Come on,
nah.
quit playing around.
And then and because that way we talk about showing them not only how to go and find the stick, so that gives them a chance to go out in the wood, and a lot of people never even just take the time to walk in the woods. So I showed them how to do that, and then I showed them how to pick out their own stick and what to look for, and then we take it and show them how we can take wood. And remember, I told you in the shop, I said we take wood and we heat it and we get it to mold into something that becomes stronger, even if it's twisted or bent or broken, like a veteran like myself that had to go through a lot of PTSD or different things like this, and trying to get past the trauma. As I heat that wood and get it to shape up, it becomes stronger, and then I'm able to take it and turn it into something useful. I'm looking at time too. So we're always making sure that we show them that no matter how broken something is or how twisted something may be mentally or physically or emotionally, there is a straight way. There's a straight path to strength and recovery.
Rod, thank you for sharing that. And also, because my daughter Amber took some classes from you, if you would just touch on the vocal lessons and what you do with the guitar, because you're self-taught and
Yes.
you never know it. You think you were classically trained.
Well, I played music all over the place. We used to open up for a long time ago a group called Club Nouveau and some other ones like that. I had a country CD out. I played a style of music called funk, rock, country, and soul. My song Scorpio was out there as one of the top funk songs that they hit back in 1985. I have a 5-octave vocal range. Taught myself to play guitar, bass, and keyboards. And then I love teaching other people, because if you can't hold the note, then I'll give you something to put it on so you can hold it. And show you how to do it. And it's all about breathing and build your own confidence, because the thing about it is it's not a matter of how you sound to others, it's how you feel when you get a chance to sing. And like I say, I have music out. I got songs out now that we're supporting the veterans with, and hopefully we'll get a chance for everybody to hear that sometime soon.
Excellent. Rod, we're going to put links to that, but also to your comic book series that you've got out and the things that you're working on with Dave Bautista. And it's absolutely wonderful.
It's a movie called Afterburn, and they're filming it right now. So it's going to be coming out in early 2025. So I was an artist. That's what it was.
We're going to put some links out there for veterans to take all these free classes with Rod on Stay Tuned. And if you'd like more information on any of the organizations and services that you've seen on the program today, visit our website at hccs.edu/VeteransVoice. An audio version is also available on Apple Podcasts. Just search for the HCC TV Podcast Network and bling! Hit that subscribe button. And for everyone here at HCC TV and at Stay Tuned, thank you for joining us on the Veterans Voice.